And so they wanted to build this big, buy and renovate a very big warehouse, whereas they were in a very small space in Hermiston when we got there. And so it was one of the most interesting site visits I'd had, and this was 2004, and it was 7 years ago, but I was still a ways into my career at the Collins Foundation. And so I was with my boss at that time, Jerry Hudson, and we went to the center where Agape was working, and Dave had been there for 2 years. We sat down at a table in the middle of the room with Dave, and his board members sat along the side of the room. I'd never seen that happen before, where you've got, the 3 people in the center and then the board members over on the side. And I kept saying, well, hey, you guys, you want to come up to the table? Come on, let's talk about this project. And they just said, no, go ahead. So we had a great conversation with Dave about this important project. But I went away from that thinking how interesting that was, that people were so shy about coming forward. And the reality is, Agape is really a collaborative effort among various churches in Hermiston. And so the people on the board back then were rotating through the organization annually. Each year they would decide who they wanted to put on the board. So it was a very different structure from what we normally see with nonprofits. But it sounded like a really good plan, a really important need, and clearly they had a very strong executive director. And so we said, yes, we're going to give you $50,000 to help with that project. So they built that facility, bought that facility, renovated it, and then a couple of months ago we had a new request from Agape in 2011. So I was there in 2004, and now it's 2011. A request because they are working to build a shelter for families in Hermiston where there is a high need and a number of homeless families. So they're looking to build a shelter that would have long-term housing as well as some emergency housing. So I thought, hooray, I finally get to go back. I mean, I can go see. And so the difference was like night and day. So 2004, and here we are in 2011, and we show up for the site visit. They've got this great big facility with the local community action agency actually operating out of the facility as well. They've bought more property. They are recycling. They've got more plans. They've got just a lot going on. It was amazing. And the board members were all at the table. It was incredible. So, and the mayor was there. And these folks had been working on this plan for a number of months, still had a lot left to figure out, certainly around the programming for the homeless family shelter, but they had made so much progress. And the board members were so engaged, and everybody just so able to talk about what the issues were they were facing around this big project, where they had been, what issues they'd been working through, how hard or easy it was for people to get on board, what the community was feeling about it, the fact that the community had this great need, and this group appeared to be the one who was ready and willing to step forward and meet the need. And it was just such an inspiring visit. I mean, I was just amazed that in the course of 7 years, there could be this, what you would hope, the progression, the evolution, the continued development of an organization, and that's what we all hope for. If we're working in nonprofits, if we're governing them, if we're making grants, you just love to see that evolution occur. So, whereas there may have been some reluctance on the part of a funder to step forward and say yes, I went to that visit, could see that progression and hear about this need. And even though they still have little ways to go on their fundraising, they're ready to break ground in about a week, and they're going to make it happen. So that's my success story. And I hope I added enough content there along the way that you will know some of the points I was making. Thank you very much.
What a great storyteller. Linda from Prineville.
don't like public speaking. I'm Linda Schalk, and of the John and Linda Schalk Foundation, and my husband and I live in Prineville. We're in the lumber business, which many of you should be able to resonate, or at least we're trying to stay in the lumber business. I was fortunate enough that when I married my husband about 30 years ago, his parents had the foresight to establish a foundation, and they had turned it over to the Oregon Community Foundation. It is an advised fund and operates in the traditional manner, and I've been able to advise on that fund. So my knowledge of gifting to nonprofits started there. Then my husband and I started our own personal foundation, and I began to gift in the traditional way. If you had a program and I really liked it, I'd give you $1,000. And if you had a program I liked, I'd give you $1,000. And then I'd come back the next year and you'd want another $1,000 in the next year. And it didn't seem that we were making any change, that you'd just gotten used to, having that as part of your operational dollars. And I thought, is there a different way that we could spend our money? And so we started, first of all, by offering conferences to the nonprofits. Now we serve, because of where our businesses are, we serve Crook County, which has a population of 25,000, one incorporated city, which is Prineville. We serve Grant County, which is where our sawmill is, our last sawmill. And the county there is about 8,000 people. And then in between those two counties is Wheeler County with about 1,800 people. Now, I suspect that encompasses most of your counties because it is definitely rural. It's Central Oregon and Eastern Oregon. So between those, or among those three counties, we started saying, what do you need? If we can't give you as much money as you need, what could we do to help? And one of the things they said is we need knowledge. We need to know how to run our nonprofits better. So we started in 2000 or 2002, I'm not sure which, offering conferences, and we would bring in speakers. And Cynthia has been there multiple times. Sally has been there. OCF people have always been there. All the funders will come to John Day or Prineville, and we'd offer conferences, and our nonprofits would attend and learn knowledge. We'd help them about grant writing. So what we came to realize is that our nonprofits really needed assistance. And my husband and I decided then to use most of our money from our foundation to hire a staff person. And we, about 3 years ago, hired Christy Stieber on a part-time basis. And what she does now is she communicates with all our nonprofits. She sends them emails. She calls them on the phone. She has developed relationships, and she says, what do you need? How can we help? And in the 3 years, what we've been able to do is encourage them to access foundations that already have the resources. We don't have many resources, but these people do. And we're just helping them understand what OCF expects, what Ford expects, and how to get that. And so I have 2 examples for you. And even though let me ask in the audience, is there anyone from Crook, Wheeler, or Grant counties? Oh, good, thank you. Well, the rest of you we can't fund, but let me give you a couple of examples of what we've done. And there may be someone in your community that would be willing to fund something like what we do. I believe that there are people out there who have some money. They don't have a lot. They don't think they have enough. But they have some that they might be able to help you with the education and the technical assistance that you need. We really value collaboration in our 3 counties because every nonprofit needs something. So what we did a year ago is we went to 4 nonprofits and we said, if you'll work together for an event, we'll give you seed money that will pay for a staff person to help you organize that event. And this was in Crook County, which is closely located to Deschutes County. Deschutes County has Bend in it, which is 80,000 people. They have lots of resources, and they have programs that have satellite programs into our community in Prineville. For example, the Smart Reading Program is an outstanding program. Their administrative office is in Bend, but their satellite office is in Prineville. So we found 4 organizations like that, Big Brothers Big Sisters, one for women who are battered, and one for, well, I can't remember the 4th one. But anyhow, so they organized together because they had the staff. All of those 4 organizations had staff people, and they had real development directors. And by funding each of those 4 organizations $1,000 for this event, they were able to raise the equivalent of $3,600 for each nonprofit. So that means we almost quadrupled our money. And that's the kind of leverage that our foundation is trying to do. Because we don't have enough money to fund all the needs, but we can help in terms of that leveraging. In other words, you know, let's think about how to do this in a different way that's maybe smarter and better. And then the second example I have, which we did just 2 weeks ago, is all of our nonprofits say, we want to know exactly how you write a grant. Anybody interested in that? Well, we said, all right, let's then have an all-day grant writing workshop in our community so that it's not a long commute. You don't have to drive to Portland. You don't have to spend overnight all the costs that you have to incur. So Christy, because she knows the nonprofits and the people in our 3 counties, she called and she got 11 people that she knew was ready to write a grant. They had an idea, they had some skill level, and they were ready. And she worked with Rick Levine, who's a very well-known grant writer out of the Portland area, and for a little bit of money, he came to Prineville, offered a full-day workshop. Each of them paid $25. Now, how many of you can go to an all-day workshop and pay $25? Not at this level. So we picked up the additional cost because that's where we feel the money is best spent. And then what Rick is also going to do is he will consult with each of them for an hour. They are to write a grant. I won't say to whom, but they all have August deadlines. and he will consult with them along the way before that grant application is due so that they can present their organization and their need in the very best light. And that's how we think our money is best spent. I mean, it cost us probably less than $2,000, but we've impacted 11 organizations. Thank you.